Jay from Team DMA. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. We're gonna be discussing today one of the most hated cards. But if you hate the card, it means you can't beat it. Remember the linguistics that I taught you guys 4 or 5 years ago. So you have to learn what the words mean in Yu-Gi-Oh. If a person says he hates something, it means you have to play 3 copies of it. So what does hate mean in Yu-Gi-Oh? Hate means they lose to the card, they cannot win. So people are not gonna love a card that they lose to. So the majority of top tier players lose to skill drain. So because they hate it, so the AC 130, like I've made a video before, is composed of only cards that people hate. They're not strong cards. They're not cards that can win duels. They're mainly just cards that people hate. So because people hate them, I already know those are the cards they lose to. So the AC 130 is composed of a lot of cards that people lose to. So Skill Drain is one of those cards, but you have to combine the Skill Drain with other cards in the Dark Magician deck. And Skill Drain itself is not actually a win condition. It's actually just a combo. Every deck has multiple combos. Like you have 20, 30 different combos on a deck. Skill Drain in the Dark Magician deck is one of like 15 or 20 different combos that you could do. Now, if you doubt it, come to my channel, see me do against top tier, first place regionals, nationals decks. And what you're gonna find out is I don't always win with Skill Drain. Sometimes I win without Floodgates, sometimes without, sometimes with Dragoon, sometimes without Dragoon. So the main thing is your deck has to be full of combo lines, combo plays, sequences. If you don't get a card, you should have other routes and pathways that you can go, roads that you can follow, and locks and combos and sequences. So no matter what hand you have, you should be able to establish combos. And that's actually mastering your deck. So Skill Drain is one of the most powerful combos in the Dark Magician deck because you have the ability to shut down your opponent, but then during your turn you can break out of it. If you've never done that, then you've not mastered the Dark Magician deck yet. In fact, if you've never had like Floodgates open, like active on your opponent, and then when it's your turn you turn them off, that's a big sign that you haven't mastered the Dark Magician deck yet. The Dark Magician deck is full potential and power, is full control. You decide if there's special summons, you decide if there's spells, you decide if there's traps, you decide if there's monsters, you decide everything. But when it's your turn, you shut everything off and you have free reign to do whatever you want. If your opponent discards like hand traps to negate you should have multiple negates on the board to just negate that. So there's nothing they could do other than just waste your time. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of Skill Drain before I end this video, but this is for Yummy Mike or anybody else who's playing in the Dark Magician community. Like I said, Skill Drain is not the auto win. It's the whole entire 40 cards in the deck. And sometimes they use like Droll and Lockbird, or they could use just about anything like Shifter. So the Skill Drain is there for that. The Skill Drain is there because they shut you down. You can retaliate back because you can retaliate in Yu-Gi-Oh! And shut everything off back to them. And I'm going to show you some combos that you can implement with the Skill Drain. The Skill Drain is never meant to be played alone. If you play Skill Drain alone, 100% sure you're going to lose. Everyone that plays Skill Drain by itself loses. You cannot play Skill Drain by itself. It's not a combo. In order to be a combo, you need to have other cards implemented into your deck. So one of the combos is the Circle Eternal with the Dark Magician. But like I've always said, and I keep saying until the day I hit the grave, is you cannot let your opponent establish a bunch of monsters and a bunch of spell and trap, because when they do that, essentially the Skill Drain does nothing. It does absolutely nothing because you're depending on Eternal and Circle, and that's a lie. When people tell you Eternal Circle wins all my duels, or Eternal Circle, my deck's tier 0, all of those things are lies. Nobody can win with Circle Eternal. It's trash. You need combos. So the Circle Eternal with the Skill Drain is broken, but you need the combo. So you need to clear all the spell and trap so that they don't aid the monsters on your opponent's field. And then you have to target the highest attacking monster and leave the least lowest attacking monster so that they can break out of the Dark Magician so he could be the strongest on the field. Also, in case of like something were to go bad, you want to have an Apprentice Illusion, because when you set up the combo, you might want to hit the what's his name, Illusion of Chaos, to draw the Apprentice Illusion, because you're gonna special summon, banish, and then they're gonna try to either crash or hit them over. You hit the Apprentice, and then the rest are locked. So that's it for them. They're gonna be top decking, and you're gonna be banishing, attacking, and getting rid of the monsters for the win. Together with that, you always have to remember, even with skill drain active, you're going to have other cards that protect your back row. Like you can have, like, for example, bribe, a dark sacrifice. You can have a lot of cards like the right hand, the left hand, the magician's right hand, left hand. You can have village. You have to have something solemn. I wouldn't recommend it, but anything that you can think of that can stop spell traps, you're gonna need them. You can even play Epidemic Virus, right? Because you can trigger it, dump the Dark Magician, and then you can choose either spells or traps, and then they're all negated. That's broken, and then you can change to Special Banish. With the skill drain, they're not, it's auto win. Doesn't matter what deck they're playing, even tier 0. So you can never play it by itself. Your deck is supposed to be revolved around the combos. So if you're playing a card that's outside of your combos, that's why you lose. And that's why the majority of the Dark Magician community loses, because they're never able to arrive at a high win percentage, because the cards that they're playing, they're not playing into the combos. What they're doing is they'll have 1 to like 3 or 4 card combos, and everything else is like miscellaneous. It's like random, and the cards don't play into the combos. So what you're supposed to be doing is you're supposed to be having combos and then cards that play into the combos. And in case that combo gets broken, the original combo like skill drain, you're supposed to have other alternative combos onto it. So on the AC 130 from me, you can see the 8 to like 12 negates on the board, and then I have the skill drain combo, and then on top of that, I have the extra deck combo, and then I have the floodgate combo, and then the regular negation combos with the monsters. So they play simultaneously at different times, or they combine together to make a broken combo to where it reaches 12 to 13 negates per turn. So one of the other cards that can be useful in this is anything that takes monsters during your opponent's turn. And I'm going to explain why. Because let's say you have skill drain and you have no monsters, which could happen, right? It happens to a lot of people when you lose. So Crackdown is there to get rid of that issue, because what's going to happen is they're going to attack you and you're going to select the highest attacking monster on the field. So what you're going to do is use Crackdown to take it. So the moment you activate Crackdown, they can't hit your life points no more, because the highest attacking monster, you have it. So they can't bypass that monster. So they're going to have to end their turn. And then from there, you can open the field by either targeting to banish their back row or destroy it, or continue to destroy their field. You can also use Magician Souls to activate and send this card with other cards to draw more. It's going to give them their monster back, but at that point you should already have something set up to win. If you don't want to do that, you can shut off the skill drain and then link off. You can link off the activate monster effects, because remember, you're playing 3 skill drains, so even though you got rid of it, you can set it back down and reactivate it, because the whole point is to have all the floodgates, all the negates, all the interruptions on your opponent's turn. When it's your turn, you gotta shut them all down. And like I said, that's it's number 1 sign that you've mastered the Dark Magician. If you can't do that, you haven't mastered the deck yet. So you have the right to complain about the Dark Magician deck, but in reality, you suck. The deck is fine. You have to master the deck in order to really see the potential. So Crackdown is broken with skill drain. If you don't believe me, try it. Like, activate a skill drain, and on your opponent's turn, summon a Dragoon on purpose. And you can summon a few other monsters, like 4 or 5 other monsters. And then Dragoon shut off, everything shut off. And then you activate Crackdown, take the Dragoon. That's it. There's nothing they can do. The turn has ended for them. And then on your following turn, you should have plays. Like, if you have a low number of cards, that's an indicator that you suck. You're not playing your deck right. You should always have draw power. You should always have combos to bring stuff from the graveyard and banish stuff. And yep. And then let's see here. Even with the Magician Souls, you can shut off both this one and the Skill Drain and then open the field, right? Or Twin Twister can shut them off too. The other one is the Eye of Illusion. It actually does work because the play that you're gonna be wanna do here is once your opponent controls, take control. Okay, so during your opponent's turn, what you could do is you can take one of their monsters as the same thing as a crackdown. But the other better move is the second one. It says when it declares the attack, so the highest attacking monster, you can make that monster, for example, attack like the Kashtira when Yummy Mike was playing. He could have done that to make it attack is Kashtira Fenrir. And then the Dark Mission stays on the field. And he could have banished another monster, so there's no more attack. The turn ended. And in reality, what I would have done was I would have hit the Eye of Illusion, chain that attack to hit the Fenrir, and then special summon a Dark Magician to banish the field card. And then on my turn, the Dark Magician would have been open, right? It would have been on the field because it was never touched. So what I would have done, trigger the effect of Eternal, Dark Magic Attack, hit Dark Magic Attack, clear the back row, so there's no more spell and trap. And then what I would do is I would attack, link, and then special banish, and then I would banish. So now the board is empty, and then from there you're gonna want to send the Dark Magician back to the graveyard to have it active again with the Skill Drain. So it's a simultaneous murderous combo, and there's nothing your opponent can do. In the deck, you should have cards that negate spell and trap destruction, so that the lock is always on. Now, if they were to break through the lock, in your hand, you should have resources like Bestial and other ways to get the cards that went to the graveyard back onto the field, like Servant, and that's why they're there. You should also have cards that can bring out a Dragoon. So like as soon as they out the backboard, excuse me, it becomes much worse because now you're gonna have a bunch of Omni Negates on the field. So Magician's Salvation will bring the Dark Mission and the Dark Mission Girl for either links, XYZs, or fusions. And you can play it together with the Dragoon, and you could just skip the back row all you could just skip it all entirely. And you're gonna want to have cards that never is nothing that's a one-time use. You want to do it, and people are gonna say, well, the Eye Illusion is a one-time use, and this is a one-time use. Some of those cards, the one-time use is for the one time that they're gonna try to out your board. All the other cards, like 80% of your cards are not one-time use. They stay on the board. You just have like maximum like four cards are one-time use, but they're only there for that one situation. When they would out the board, or when they would attack over your Dark Mission, when they would end the game. And if you think I'm lying, go back on Yummy Mike's duel and implement what I said, and you can see the win. You're like, right. And that's the old AC 130 combo. That's just one of many. And you don't need the back row. You can use all the monsters. It's just that people don't understand. The top tier decks, tier 0, tier 1s, that's what they do. They're one card combos, and it doesn't matter what combination of cards they have in their hand, they're combos. And that's what the AC 130 is, or the Dark Mission deck is. You don't have to wait for the Skill Drain. You don't have to wait for the Dragoon. You should have combos active all the time, and they should be more stronger than Dragoon, more stronger than the Skill Drain. Those are just combos that are there. And then the deck has to be set up to, if you break your board, you have to establish and replenish the board for recovery quickly. And I'm going to be showing you guys before this video ends, or maybe I'll do another one, the Cali effect. He plays similar style to what I've been telling people for 5 years, and he won first place against a lot of regional and national champions in an event that he went to with the Scareclaw. And I'm going to be showing you the board and what he says in a link so you can go visit it. And it's the same. I'm telling you guys, everyone's listening to me, like taking my advice, and they're having results. They remove all of these one-time use cards, all these hand traps, and guess what? Their deck becomes OP, just like Jay said. No one taught you that. I did. I was the first one to mention all that. And the people who are listening and taking advantage of it are getting results. So we're gonna be talking about another card that you could be using potentially in the Dark Magician deck, and that would be Grave of the Secret Ancient Organism. This is another combo. It has nothing to do with Skill Drain or the Circle Eternal, nothing like that. This one is pretty awesome because this one facilitates your play in the Dark Magician, because all the level 6 and higher, like most of the what's it called, like all the bestial is dead, all the dragons are dead, Dragon Ink, all of that is dead. All the branded is dead. Yeah, you're gonna be killing left and right, all kinds of decks. Kashtira is dead because they're all level 6 and higher, remember? So they're all dead and frozen. So what's gonna be happening is all of your monsters that are level 5 and under, they're all alive. The Rod, the Magician's Souls. So what happens is, um, it's a funny way to look at it, but it's like parents standing or sitting on the bench, and the kids are playing in the playground. They're just running in circles on the slide and the merry-go-round and the slide and all that, the swings. That's what it looks like. Like Grave of the Secret Ancient Organism freezes everything except Dark Magician. The Dark Magician is playing left and right and doing all kinds of combos, and that's what I teach you guys, that you have to have combos implemented into your cards. They can't be like one random miscellaneous card and it's doing its own thing. That's not how it works. That's why you lose. The cards have to all play into your combo. So this one, the more level 5 and unders you have that are broken, like the Rod, like the Magician Souls, and then also Link monsters, like any Link monster you can think of, it's alive during the Grave Super Ancient Organism, because they have to be level 6 or higher, but the Links don't count, neither do level 5s and under. So all of those cards are live. They're just playing through and doing all kinds of crap. So if you're losing with your Dark Magician deck, it means you're not playing it right. So this is a broken card in the Dark Magician deck, and you can play it at one only, and then you can shut it off at any time. But basically, you're doing everything. Your opponent is completely, utterly frozen. It's a little bit better than Skill Drain, because Skill Drain stops all the monsters, but this one only stops the level 6 and higher, which you don't use them anyways. And even with the Bestial, what you could do is you link Bestial goes to the graveyard, pops, and then Azealia pops, and then attacks, pops again, and then everything's frozen. And Azealia can pop back cards, and then that doesn't even include your Dark Magic Attack, your Twin Twister, and there's so many other cards that you could play into. One of the most broken cards combos with this on the AC 130 is the Triheart Scareclaw, because he'll set everything to defense, and then when everything is switched to defense, you can pop it also. One of the combos that I learned that you could do with the Scareclaw is when you play the Scareclaw, you can bring the Chaos Arcfiend. So you will need to find a way to go into the Synchro. So you're gonna need Light Tuner, and then anything that would go into it. In the Dark Magician deck, as far as I know, an easy way would be an Effect Veiler and a Dark Magician. You can go into the Arcfiend. So if you already know by that, the cards that go on to defense, right? And then in that turn, if you banish, it gains an automatic 2,000. So it's 4,000. What is it, like 4,500? So you can shut off the Triheart. You can either link them or whatever, and you leave the Arcfiend, and basically it's 4,000 hitter, and you can shut off the Grave of the Secret Ancient Organism, because you have a lot of cards that shut it down, and you're just gonna be mollywopping your opponent. You can have other monsters on the fields to Omni Negate with the Circle Eternal. It just starts getting really, really nasty for your opponent, and like I said, having cards that stop the destruction of either monsters or back row is broken. And you're gonna want to establish multiple nasty negations, and you always want to be OP. Never settle for less. Never settle for, oh, this is good enough. Forget about the days of the 3 negations, interruptions. Those days are over. Don't listen to those players. People who tell you that, they're fake players. They don't know what they're talking about. They're utterly and almost going to be destroyed, and they're going to change their deck again because they suck. They don't know what they're doing. A sign that your deck is good, if it's always the same deck, just changing the deck for a few cards here and there to accommodate or fit better into the current meta, or the like 2024, the profiles of this year. But if you notice the famous, I had after in the video, notice all the famous YouTubers, all the famous Dark Magician players, all the Dark Magician community. One thing you'll see in common, they never arrive at a Dark Magician profile. They're always lost, always changing. Oh, it's a sequence. They change their deck, they lose again. They change their deck, they lose again. So that's a sign that they don't know what they're doing. The AC-130 is steady as the same deck for 5 years in a row, and is still winning today. So that's one of the cards that you're going to want to try. And I think there was another card. Okay, this is another card that I want to talk about. Twin Twister in the Dark Magician deck is broken because when you play against top tier decks, there's about 6 top decks that are in the regionals and nationals winning the locals. They're all back row heavy. If you don't believe it, then that's one of the reasons. Like if you're watching this video, show me on your channel like a live duel at your locals, and I'll show you where, because you didn't play Twin Twister, you lost the duel. So Twin Twister unbreaks you, sends cards to the graveyard so that they can chain activate, and then it breaks the back row of your opponent. And right now, all of the best decks have heavy back row. They have it heavy with the Labyrinth, with the Kashtira, with the Fire Kings. You name the deck, they all back row heavy. A lot of them have the Runic. They have a lot of spells or a lot of traps, or simultaneously spells and traps. So you're gonna need to constantly have access to it. If you don't want the Twin Twister, then a Dark Magician attack or a Feather with the triple tactics thrust. You have to have a way to search these cards and blow the back row at any point in time in the duel. And I would actually advise doing the Dark Magic attack, because you can use it once, blow the back row. If they negate it, you can use Servant, stack Dark Magic attack back onto the deck, trigger the effect of Eternal Soul, get it back to your hand, trigger it a second time. And you can do it again and again throughout the duel. So you're gonna need a way to back row destruction every single turn. If you have 12 turns, 12 turns you have to be able to do it. What I do is on my monsters, I create link monsters to pop back row as well, like the Ezelia, the Nightmare Phoenix, and there's a lot of other cards that can do the same exact thing of popping cards in the back row the whole time. And then here's the Dark Magic attack, and there's nothing after that. So that's gonna end the video. If you guys have any questions or concerns, this is regarding these combos that you can play with the Skill Drain and Grave the Secret, and it makes the Eternal Circle practically indestructible and extremely powerful. Very, very nasty. So people tell you like, no, this is outdated, it's too much of a setup. There is technically no setup, because all of the cards do the same thing. Like all your cards should be going for an Eternal or a Circle and simultaneously playing other combos like Omni Negates with Dragoon, preventing destruction of your field, both monsters and the back. And then simultaneously from that, you should have cards that, like I said, that could take your monsters. They take your opponent's monsters. So there's nothing for your opponent to do. There's nothing for them to do other than to surrender. And then you're gonna have to learn when you should stop cards, when you should not. And before I end the video, 2 major things are happening with your opponent, and I can't stress it enough. They're special summoning spam and playing back row. If you think there's something else, you're being lied to and you don't know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Those 2 things are being done. Special summon spam and playing back row. And if you could get rid of them both, guess what? You win all your duels. All top tier decks, first place nationals, first place regional, what do? Remember what I told you, special summon spam and back row. That's it. It's so simple. It's just that people make it sound like they know all the secrets. No one can beat them. Their deck is powerful. All of those things are lies. They're just special summoning spam and playing back row cards, and that's it. If you got to stop them both, and you can do it. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know. And with that having been said, you guys, Dark Magic attack.